So guys, what I want to share with you is about the ingredients of the music. Everybody's been asking me about the music specifically and about what makes it frequency music. And I want to get into the details because it's really an industry separator of what I'm making with my Sonic-Ceutical programs versus other programs that are out in the world right now. I'm going to get into it deeper, but I want to let you know that, we live in this world right now where somebody throws some brainwave states into music and they call it therapeutic music, or they throw a solfeggio frequency in there and it's therapeutic music. They throw a binaural beat in there and it's therapeutic music. So all music is one of two things. It's either medicine or poison. Now I'm using the term music, but the reality of it is that even homeopathy, who's familiar with homeopathy? Do a thumbs up or do a little yes in the chat. So the whole premise of homeopathy is that in the physical level, it's poison. In the energetic level, it's medicine. The energetic signature is more powerful than the physical substance itself. So the only reason as a doctor that I'm using music or sound and vibration as a delivery system is because through my research, I asked myself the question, what is the best way of administering information to the nervous system for directly influencing biochemistry? That was the question I asked myself. And I said, well, what about sound? And think about it. Forget about Sonic-Ceuticals, okay? Forget about therapeutic music. Let's just talk about music, period. I mean, listen, I just went to Las Vegas and saw one of my favorite bands play in a 17,000 person immersive arena. It's pretty awesome. And you know what? People are having religious experiences in that dome. It's very an interesting experience seeing the people that have been literally listening to Phish for 30 years, since the 90s. It's like going to church for a lot of these people, But then I took a friend of mine there who's never seen Phish before, and I think she was bored. So the same information that can get imprinted into your nervous system and create all of these neural pathways on one end for one person can create an exciting experience and create different biochemistry, can literally create different biochemistry for somebody else. I want to give a perfect example of this. You could be listening to, what's coming off the top of my head, like classic rock, any song, Steely Dan. It's just what's coming to my mind. I don't know. And you could be listening to that song, and I don't know, you guys on this call could be like, oh, wow, every time I hear that song, I think of like being on a date with like this guy in high school or something and have all these beautiful memories, and it starts taking you back to that pathway with that song and memories you had, right? And that begins to create positive biochemistry. However, that same song could also be associated with your dad who used to beat you, who loves Steely Dan. And literally listen to the same exact song could elicit a completely different biochemical pathway to you. And so there is an association, and there's another term, guys, I'm going to write this in the chat. Who's familiar with this term? An anchor. Yes or no? I want to see some yeses. I want to see some no's in the chat. I see some thumbs up. I want to see who's familiar with what this means. Okay, yes, yes, yes. I'm curious if we have any no's. Cool. So here's the thing with Okay, cool. We got a couple no's. Great. Okay. Asling. I messed up her name. Did I say it wrong? Okay. Well, thank you, Nikki, for putting that out. I'm gonna keep going. Ashling. Oh, that's easy. That's actually that's much easier. You know what? I think I'm a visual person, actually. I think I need to, same with learning Spanish, I think I need to see how it's written in order for me to say it. So it's one of my representational patterns. But Ashling, let me see, let me get back to what I was just saying, was the anchor. Tony Robbins talks about creating anchors. An anchor is another term. It's a neuro-linguistic programming, subconscious reprogramming term, where basically when you hit a heightened emotional state, and then something happens, and literally it could be in Tony Robbins and subconscious mind, sometimes world, we'd work on like visualizing something like, I want to be a billionaire. I'm just making I want to be a billionaire. So it's like you get in this, like you build yourself up in this heightened emotional state, and then you're visualizing saying this tension of being a billionaire. And then literally you could just take we used to do like a little click of a pen, click, click. And in that state, with those intentions, we click that pen. And now every time that we click that pen, our nervous system is supposed to go to that state of that I'm a billionaire in an emotional state and take you back to that moment. That's called an anchor. You can create that state for anything. Now, here's what's so interesting about anchors. You see how easy it is to create an anchor? What are the ingredients? An elevated emotional state with an intention and a stimulus. It could literally be a clapping hands. So you could be out and I could just do this, and you might have an anchor set up for, maybe it's that you're a billionaire. Great. I'm activating you being a billionaire all the time. But I could be sitting here clapping your hand, and you could have, who knows what kind of crazy past process you had in your mind. You might have created an anchor for that you're no good, that you're less than, that you're ugly. And every time you hear that, subconsciously your body sends out chemistry to you saying that you're ugly. I'm just making this up. And this is what's so weird about our subconscious minds, and I write about this in my book in detail, is that the arrows move in both directions, guys. The arrows move in both directions, meaning as much as we can actively create these anchors for something new, we're creating anchors for things that are usually bad all the time. And I'll give you another example. This one, I see this all the time. You know, you want to get some ice cream or some gelato, and immediately, as soon as you see it, and I've heard this from people, it's like, oh, I'm gonna have to go to the gym, or that's gonna put 5 pounds on just by me looking at it. Boom, there's an anchor you just created just by looking at ice cream. And look at all the women are like shaking their hands and smiling. Okay, so I invite you to, next time you see ice cream, smile, take a deep breath in, because that's an anchor. If it's breathing, consciously breathing, and saying, every bite of ice cream or gelato I eat, I get sexier, smarter, and thinner. Try that one, guys. And then just take a moment and just like stare at your favorite gelato. Seriously, stare at it, get super conscious with it, make a smile, and just take a deep breath in and fully envelop that. And you know what we just did? That's an anchor.
It because that's a happy moment.
Say again?
I eat it because it's a happy moment.
It's a happy moment. And you know what, Rose? That's an anchor. So if you say to yourself, I'm eating this because it's a happy moment, great. But dude, how many people eat ice cream because they want to feel better, because they're
I don't.
depressed, because they're angry, because they're something else, so they're
Yeah, and that's why
emotionally,
people have weight gain.
that's why they have weight gain. So guys, the arrows move in both directions, and this is going to tie into the music and the vibe. Because really the music that we're creating, okay, so getting back to music in general, it's an anchor. Everybody, there's 17,000 people. We know all the songs. We know all the songs, and we've literally been listening to these songs for 30 plus years. Same, anybody, any deadheads out there? Dude, similar situation. Grateful Dead, same thing. People are associating, they're on psychedelics, acid, mushrooms, marijuana, drinking, all these things. And they just are in this place and they're listening to songs and they conjure up all these memories of past Dead shows where they were, experiences they had. They just tell stories about them. Anchors, anchors, anchors. And actually, that was part of the acid test that they did in the 60s with the Grateful Dead was what happens when you take LSD and listen to music. They were literally creating anchors. That was part of the CIA special Berkeley acid test research they were doing. So we can use all of this information going into the vibe. So our music that we're making um, is also an anchor. And where this conversation started with, I said all music is medicine or poison. I want to wrap this up because I want to bring this back in. Why would I say it's poison? Guys, I invite you. Remember, I opened up this call and I said, what's in a name? Ashling, everything. Because what is a name? A name is a word. And a word is made up of letters. And each letter has a sound. And when you combine these letters and these sounds together, it creates a name. And that name has energy. And I'm curious, Ashling, what does your name mean? And you said it's Gaelic. I'm curious if it's Gaelic, does it mean anything?
It means a vision.
There's a vision for it. It's amazing. So Ashling means there's an anchor to the word Ashling. It means vision. So your whole life, every time somebody says your name, is about vision.
Or a nightmare. It means vision or dream, but my friends say nightmare.
Okay. And see, you laugh at that, but that's an anchor.
Yeah.
Oh, because now you're like, oh, it's a dream, it's a nightmare. But dude, it's a beautiful name. Like your name means dream and vision. And you know what? Guys, I want to take you back to this anchor conversation, okay? You could be a little girl, your mom and dad named you Ashling, which is beautiful, at birth, and you're about vision. It puts you on a path for your entire life. But at some point, as maybe a little girl in these, they talk about these formidable years between like basically when you're born to like age 8 or 12, your brain waves are in like they are in like theta, you're in this daydream state, this alpha day, and you can program. That's why it's easy to learn languages and all the things that you're getting programmed in early stages, and you get picked on as a not this is hypothetical, Ashling. I'm not sure if this is your, but somebody could have said something, oh, your name means nightmare during these formidable years, and you're like, oh my God, my name means, and now you associate your name with nightmare. And it can literally happen that quick. One person that means something to you in authority says something to you, you're in a heightened emotional state, and it gets anchored into your nervous system. And just that easy, now you're living, your name is a nightmare instead of being a dream. So we live our lives subconsciously like this all the time. And guys, I write about this in my book, which is a chapter. It talks about the energy of words coming from authority figures. And who are authority figures? Obviously, our parents, our siblings, our significant others, doctors, legal systems, government. These are all powers of authority. And when they speak and they cast their words to either you directly or to the masses, it holds more energy than potentially somebody else. So, especially at younger ages. Now, the good news is, remember, I keep coming back to these equations, the arrows move in both directions. If you can literally watch TV and somebody says, you know, I want to come up with, what does somebody keep telling me? Oh, that's what it was. You guys saw, if you've been following me, I went to the Texas Eclipse Festival, 60,000 people there. You know how many people I told I went to that festival? You know, every single person that I spoke to that was not there, you know what they said to me? I heard it was a shit show. I don't know where that information got out in the world, but some place of authority got it out to the masses that this festival was a shit show. I gotta be honest with you. I was there in the festival. I mean, it's a festival. I think all
Yeah,
festivals.
here in Texas,
Okay,
because they
but I thought it
put
was
it
pretty
out
cool.
before it even happened.
I thought it's pretty awesome. So these are all examples of what I want to say about listen to the music that you're listening to. And this is really interesting, guys. Listen to the lyrics. Because now there's a lot of sneaky lyrics, especially like in the hip hop world, in the popular culture world, where there's two things happening. The lyrics can be very dark, but they mix them with upbeat, high tempo rhythms. So the purpose of rhythm is entrainment, neurological entrainment. Like when something's got beat and you guys are moving, it makes you move. That's timbre and that's rhythm. It's designed to entrain your brain. So if you have a catchy jingle that you're listening to that you really like, I invite you to listen to the lyrics, because so many times how many people, you guys, you can put this in a yes or no in the chat. How many times you guys literally you're like la 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 and you're like singing along with a song, but you really don't even understand the lyrics? I do that. Yeah. I'm like, oh wow, I really like, and then you listen to the lyrics like, wait a second. I'm being manipulated. And that's the sneaky part about music, especially popular music nowadays, because it's definitely not in 432. Listening to music on the radio, just to give you my personal experience, it kind of hurts. I feel like it hurts my nervous system listening to music through the radio. I don't know what weird frequencies they have it tuned to. And then when commercials come on, you notice how they're like louder than the regular music? I can't even tolerate it in my nervous system. And how many people just, like when I'm in an Uber, they're just driving around all day in their Uber listening to... They have no idea what they're listening to. It's just being programmed into their nervous system subconsciously.
Well, you know, Stephen, you know my background being a musician, and
and a musician, and what else?
Magician.
A musician and a magician, which is kind of the same thing.
Well, the thing would be...
What she said? I didn't hear what she said.
She said I do jobs beginning with a letter M.
Exactly. Do job exactly.
Musician, magician, mechanic.
Yeah. Well, the whole musician thing, though, I've been in bands ever since I was 16, 17 years old. And I want to
Uh,
comment about what you just said. Is, you and I have gotten to be friends. We've had a lot of conversations, and you know some of my background. And one of the things that I was very aware of at a very young age was exactly what you just said. And I would be in bands, and back in the 70s when I started playing, and still today, you had bands like more modern Slayer, way back then, some of the
yep.
Alice Cooper stuff.
Yep.
And I would have guys in bands, Ozzy or Black Sabbath or whatever. And I would have guys in bands, and they'd say, dude, that's such a cool song. And I'd go, well, I'm going to listen to the lyrics. And once I heard anything that was, in my opinion, satanic, devil, dark, evil, whatever, I was like, I'm not doing that song. And so, dude, I cannot tell you, ever since the 70s, my last band was in the early 2000s, I cannot tell you how much I ran into issues with that, with people going, what's wrong with you, man? It's just music. Guys in bands getting really ticked off at me. But I'm telling you, Stephen, you'd be proud of me because I always stood my ground. I never compromised. Didn't, never.
Oh, because
never.
you're a new earther.
Yeah, for the exact reason you're saying.
Well, what I'm happy, thank you for sharing that. Guy, I can tell you that living down in Tulum and just living kind of on this festival world, there's an emergence of conscious music. And now they even have like conscious rapping, conscious hip hop. It's cool. Because it's operating at the same levels, rhythm and timbre and beat, but yet they're programming positive, and it seems so obvious. But it's sometimes like it's a quote unquote new thing. Now there's always been positive artists out there, with positive messages, but then there's also been everything else. And we think about it. I really want to talk about Bioharmonic Technologies, Sonic-Ceuticals, but I think are you guys enjoying this? Is this good content? Give me a yes or no in the chat. Is this
definitely? And I just want to say, to each their own, even in those bands.
Yeah.
Because I think that's really important, that you want to explain to somebody. I never was judgmental, never critical, and I feel that way about everybody on the Zoom call or anybody that wants to listen to the V.I.B.E. music, because that's why I'm so connected to you. I think that's very important for this chat, for everybody here, is that, I've had a couple times where people freaked out. We talked about this on the V.I.B.E. And you made it clear to me that what's really going on is that that's bringing up their energy. It has nothing to do with what you put in the music. It has to do with their personal energy and what it's bringing up in them. And I've always felt that way, even when I was in bands. It's not for me to judge. It's, whatever somebody is into. But that's why I'm so deeply connected to what you do.
Yes. Agreed. Well, thank you. And this is the vibroacoustic evolution revolution. So, anyway, I think this is a fascinating topic about anchors. And here, guys, one thing I want to share with you, just to kind of cut to the chase. The V.I.B.E. is the ultimate anchor. The V.I.B.E. is the ultimate anchor because it puts you into an elevated state. It's working. I'm telling you to set an anchor, and then it creates transformation. So I want to share with you guys at the Immortality, it was called People Unlimited. They sponsor an event called RadFest, which is a longevity stem cell kind of event I've gone to the last 2 years. James Strahl is the founding member. I don't know how old he is, but he's an older gentleman, really connected with him. And they talked about immortality. And it's interesting because it's interesting to be in the area of immortality because you see people die. And if you die, then you're not immortal. But yet they've been literally founded this movement since the 90s. And they talked about having more of an immortal lifestyle, about living your life kind of from a place of not, even if you die, how can you live your life immortally? And I really can't speak to, they said a lot of very profound things. And I invite you to share with them, but I wanted to share with you, with my talk, two equations that we talked about that ties into what we're talking about here. And one is intention plus resonance equals transformation. What just happened to my thing? Did I lose it? I wrote it in the chat. It disappeared. I think a bunch of people wrote a bunch of stuff at the same time. Oh, here it is. Intention plus resonance equals transformation. So this is vitally important, guys. You see you can't see it here, music menu. There was a woman who Amy referred to me when I was in Las Vegas, and she came and vibed. And I'm not going to share the details of her vibe session, but she saw another woman, a vibe owner in Vegas, and saw her twice, had an experience, but didn't have like the experience that she knew that she was supposed to be getting. Anyhow, I vibed her, and she had this insanely profound Kundalini activation experience, to the point where she went home that night and messaged me and said, "Can I come back tomorrow?" And then did another experience and had more of a deeper experience. And the reason, what's the difference between myself and this other person doing it, is because of this equation. Equation. I asked, "What's your intention?" And she told me. And I said, "Okay, now that we know your intention, let's bring you into resonance with that intention. And that's going to lead to transformation." It has to. Once again, I write about this in my book. It's called The Genie's Lamp Phenomenon. What's the genie? You got the genie, you got the lamp, you got to rub the lamp. The genie's your intention, the lamp is the body, and you got to rub it in order to align the intention with the genie, with the body. So I invite each and every one of you, Troy, when you're doing your work, as a therapist, and for you guys going in, take a minute and ask your clients, what's your intention? Or I say, what vibrational resonance do you want to be in alignment with? Or what's your goal? Whatever, however you want to frame it. Why are you here? Any of these are good statements. And I want to share with you, I'm in my office. There's a woman, her name's Kat. She's in the office with me. I haven't seen her in a while. She's took off to the airport, but she's like, "You're a chiropractor, right?" She's like, "Can you adjust my neck?" She's like, "I'm in all this pain, da 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 da." And so I was like, "You know what? Like, I can adjust you, but I don't want to do just like a quick adjustment. Let's get you on the vibe." So she was telling me about she has got this pooth problem and all these body things. And I said, "What's your intention?" And you know what she said to me? "I want to go see my son." Where did that come from? That completely changed the equation. Because her intention was, "I want to go home and see my son." So now let's put you in the resonance for that intention, and that's going to lead to transformation. If I was treating her for her tooth or for her neck or for her back, but her intention was, "Do you want to see your son?" It would have been we wouldn't have gone into resonance with it, and the transformation would have not happened. You guys following me?
Yeah, and I wanted to stress, I watched your call from last week and you covered this topic. I wasn't able to get on, but you recorded it. Where you said intention plus resonance equals transformation. And I watched that. I wasn't able to get on last week, so I watched that. And so I was like, I wrote it down on a card, And my daughter moved back in with us about 2 weeks ago, and she was saying, Dad, I love the vibe, but I'm not really getting, every time what I want out of it. So I told her that today, exactly what you said. And she said it gave her a different point of view getting off the vibe. And it totally makes sense to me because I've always heard you talk about intention, but just that, the way that you're wording this now, to me, makes it make even more sense. Big time.
Thank
To
you.
where, yeah, because you're saying, make sure you understand what your intention is, then that makes you deliberately pick the right track, but think and hold that intention while you're vibing for as long as you can. And that, like you're saying, creates that transformation. That just totally makes sense to me. That's like 1+1 = 2.
Well, it's intention plus resonance equals transformation. It's 1 + 1 = 2. It's really simple. And guys, listen, I'm not one for like math and all that stuff. I was sitting there in calculus and trigonometry, whatever. I'm not sure I even took those classes. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, let's just keep it simple, okay? Like, what's your intention? Match up the resonance, and you're gonna get transformation. And just that simple. So I wanted Gabriel's on this call. He's been asking me this question for a long time, and this is where we started. I want to talk about specifically the Sonic-Ceuticals. Specifically the Sonic-Ceuticals. And I begin, what's important about this is every time I'm formulating a Sonic-Ceutical, it begins with guess. Write it in the chat. Where do you think a Sonic-Ceutical begins for me? What's the intention? Why am I making a Sonic-Ceutical? And I think this is interesting working with musicians because listen, all songs are channeled. Like I've never written a love song. And then I say to myself, maybe I can't feel love till I can like write out these really powerful love lyrics. But the songs that I have written are about like ancient wisdom and sacred geometry and stuff like that. So I think that's just what's coming in my field, and obviously we have our favorite artists that write beautiful songs that are so captivating that really capture the imagination of all of us that we listen to it to the mass. That's why they're amazing musicians. And so with me, it begins with for me, if I'm formulating, I'm a doctor, guys. Okay, people need to tell me that they tell me I have 7 albums, so I'm a musician because I have 7 albums. That makes me a musician. But I'm a doctor studying music. And I'm making Sonic-Ceuticals as a delivery system for therapy for changing biochemistry. So it begins with what's the intention? And then I begin, once I know, well, let's just pick an album. Let's just go down the list. Energy Clearing, first album I ever made. What's the intention? I want to make an album that's going to actually, where the intention started? I wanted to make an album, 5 albums for all the Platonic solids. That was the original intention. And then I started looking, the dodecahedron, the octahedron, the square, the cube, the tetrahedron, all the 5 Platonic solids. And then they're all associated with different elements. So the first one, I don't know, I was gravitated to was the octahedron, and I was like, well, what's octahedron? Octahedron associated with air. So then I said to myself, okay, well, what does air do? What does the element of air do? Well, it moves energy. Okay, so let's make an energy clearing album. Name, ding, 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 energy clearing. So now, like, what are the ingredients? Well, this was my first album, so I was like, how do we do, I knew I was just going to formulate, so I wanted to direct it towards the nervous system. So how do I put in nervous system frequencies? Well, I was reading a book from Dr. What is her name? Wider, what's her first name? Dr. Weider, called The Music of the Spine, and she was using tuning forks. And she would literally do chiropractic adjustments using tuning forks on the spine. And guys, I want to let you know my litmus test. I don't just go on Google and find frequencies, okay? I want to find something that lines up in nature or has scientific research behind it. So I said, like, how do I find, so I read this book, it really resonated with me, and I went deeper into the science, embryology, and I'm going to explain this to you. There's something called love-it relationships. I'm doing a really bad job with my fingers here, but basically picture like a horseshoe. This is what your spine, it's called the notochord. It's what the spine looks like when it's in embryological. It begins to straighten up and it turns into your spine. But it begins in half and then straightens up. Every time it opens up, there's 2 levels of neurological material that levels. So this is fascinating. Phil, if you've never heard me say this is going to change your life forever. I'm about to change your life forever if you've never heard me tell you this.
Hit me, brother.
So this changed my life forever, guys. And this was in 2007 when I learned this. People say a lot about who God is. And I think we have Amy on here and we get into some very amazing conversations about God and spirit, which I really appreciate with her. This is something that I learned is one thing I know about God. He's a musician. And I'm going to explain to you exactly why he's a musician. Because the way that he or it or energetics, whoever you want to define to it, created humans is in 2 sets of 12. And why is that significantly important? Well, as a chiropractor, the thoracic spine where all the ribs attach, there's 12 thoracic vertebrae. In the neck, there's 7 cervical vertebrae. In the low back, there's 5. 7 and 5 is 12. Thoracic vertebrae, 12. Bent over, love-it relationships, they open up. They form 2 sets of 12. So according to Dr. Weider's research, and with her tuning forks, guess what those 12 thoracic and cervical vertebrae, guess what they represent? What they correspond to? The black and white keys on a piano. The major and minor scale of music.
Yeah, and now it's 12 total notes in music. That's why you got double dots on a neck of a guitar, because everything repeats at the 12th fret. It's 12 notes.
This is how we can tune the nervous system like we're tuning a guitar or playing a piano or any other notes. And to me, that's about as magical as it gets. I'm sorry, guys. That's about as magical as it gets. And so now we can literally tune the nervous system and tune our spines the same as we're tuning everything. So this is just one album, guys. This is the energy that goes into all of my Sonic-Ceuticals is cool. Now we got spine. And then how do I take the body into, at the time we're using alpha brainwave states because I wanted to put you into a trance. And at the time I wasn't using frequencies. I wasn't doing brainwave states. We did brain entrainment through rhythm and through patterns, through NLP patterns. I worked with Christopher Lawhead was my first, I produced the first 2 albums with him. And this was an experiment, a musical experiment. Then I said, how do I connect? Because I already was certified in neurolinguistic programming. how do we clear negative energy out of the nervous system, space, and dwelling? And I was initiated in some ancient wisdom studies. One was Hawaiian Huna, and one was the 72 names of God, the Kabbalah. And so I went in and I recorded these energetic, okay guys, here's a word, energetic signatures. Gabriel, I was talking about this, not frequencies, but energetic signatures. The nervous system doesn't know the difference between a frequency is just an energetic signature, and vice versa. There's many ways of influencing the nervous system, and it doesn't have to necessarily be a frequency. So we stack energetic signatures. And so there's 5 to 7 layers of different therapeutics that I begin with researching first, and then we begin arranging the music on top of it. That recipe is repeated through all of my Sonic-Ceuticals. And what's different are the ingredients. It begins with the intention, and then we go into resonance. Now, are there more specific mathematics? Yes. One last piece in that, it's 11. We started at 10:10. Now it's 11:11. So we're going to wrap up this call. I'm going to finish a few thoughts. I want to open up for one question, and then we're going to end this call. But I want to let you know that at the same time that I began this experiment with making music in 2007, I also began developing my own biofeedback system. And there's something about plugging in a biofeedback system here. I'm connecting to you, and you're putting on the headphones or whatever you were doing, and now I'm reading your body. The question, here's another intention, another question that I ask myself is, how do I make one program that all the billions on the planet can receive and receive information about? But yet it's the same track, because everybody's different. Everybody is different. And everybody's the same. We're all the same, but different. So, how can I plug in to what is the same on everybody? And I ask myself that question. And that's the connective tissue matrix. The mathematics of the living connective tissue matrix. That's my highway. I've been using it since day one. So I believe there's a lot of magical ingredients. I'm not just super forthcoming and just putting everything out there with the ingredients, because a little of it is my personal IP, but I'm giving you the background to what goes into each and every one of these Sonic-Ceuticals. And I want to showcase more. I want to also, we're working, guys, I want to end this call with, I don't think it's an apology. It's more of a State of the Union address. We're really busy. Like, it's incredible what's happening. In 2009, when I started going down this road with vibrational sound, and my dad and my family and my loved ones were like, why are you still doing that bed thing? You know, like why are you not why are you not chasing ambulances and doing chiropractic? And I'm like, no, thank you. But I said, it's the future. And the future is now. And everything that I saw from 2009, 2007 is why I went down this road, and I see it literally in full swing. And guys, we haven't even seen it. Like, the tsunami is building. So you guys are all pioneers in this right now. And my company, listen, we're a self-funded company. it's exclusively off of V.I.B.E sales. I'm trying to throw all the dollars are going back in this thing. It's taking up time and energy. We're bringing in, we're making this thing happen. And we're also trying to refine our systems to the best we can to give everybody the best information that they can have. And what I see is my community really needs more guidance on information that they can put out to the world. And I'm wanting to allocate more time for me, because really the only one that can really do that is me. But I'm also building V.I.B.E.s. I'm also traveling around the world. I'm also doing so. I'm pulling together. So my team, as we're growing our team, is to support Dr. V.I.B.E, Dr. Stephen Schwartz, myself, to create more space to provide more information to the community. And it's an ongoing process. We're working on it. So thank you for your patience. I could use your help. And I think you know how I could use your help? Let me know what you want. Hey, it'd be really great if we had a document for this, that. And guys, we have an online course. It needs to be updated and probably refined a little bit, but we have that data. As it goes for music, if you go to Bioharmonic Technologies website.com, go to shop, go to music, and then you'll see all the albums. If you just click on the graphics and just slide, they have graphics describing the components and protocols for each and every one of the albums. It's on our website. And we're probably going to take that information and make it into some kind of easy use guide for everybody. It's just another project. So working on it. Let me check out these questions before we wrap up. That's why it's important to set an intention with the client beforehand to guide the experience. Exactly. Oh, Dr. Stephen Schwartz. Who wrote that? Linda? I think it's Linda wrote that. The greatest things in life are simple. Exactly. They say that if you can't describe something in just a few words, you're not a master of it. Looking forward to seeing you all on tonight's webinar. Thank you, Amy. Guys, I'm hosting a webinar. We try to do one a month. You guys are welcome to attend, but more they're geared towards new people that want to purchase V.I.B.E.s, people that are wanting to learn more about this company. So if there's anybody in your group, anybody in your community that is interested in a V.I.B.E or learning more about the company or wants to learn more about Dr. Stephen Schwartz, invite them. We're going to repost the link for the webinar in the owner's chat and in the affiliate chat, and you should be sending out an email about it as well too. And share it with your community, have people sign up, and it's free. It'll be about an hour, and they get to meet Dr. Schwartz, they get to learn more about the company, they can ask questions, and that's what's happening tonight. And you guys are welcome to attend. I'm saying the crux of it is we're wanting to bring people in to introduce them to the company and to the product. So I invite you to share that information with your community and see if we can bring some other people in. And if you're an affiliate and they purchase a V.I.B.E, you get paid as an affiliate. So it's a great avenue for affiliates. Okay. One question, and then we're going to disconnect. Who's got one question? No questions. Okay. Well then, great. Guys, thanks for vibing with me. And, oh, I want to show you this. This is like the peace sign. This is vibes. This is peace. This is vibes. Boom. So I might have just made that up. You know, as soon as I did that, people are like, oh, that also means some other something else. I know Samoya's going to get on and tell me this means like some mudra in Hindi or something, right?
Yes, yes.
What does it mean in Hindi?
There's no mudra like that, but yeah.
It's like this and all these things. We're closing,
Yeah.
not opening.
Yeah.
Well, I'm opening.
Portals. You're opening portals.
Yeah, we're opening portals. Okay, guys. Thanks for vibing with me, and I'll see you next week. Or maybe in a webinar tonight.